the stalkers around or even elevator into the main. That's also useful. MaxPax, though, very on point with his scouting, and hilariously enough, herO putting that proxy in vision range of where the tower is. So maybe not doing all of the studying up of the map to realize that that is actually in vision, but I guess MaxPax gets a nice easy scout there.
Yeah, the cards are kind of on the table at this point. Both players knows what the other is doing. herO also sent a probe in. He did see the Stargate. Shield batteries are now coming down as MaxPax starts to prepare his defense. Here come the first two Stalkers. They poke the natural here. They do see it's a Stalker coming out, and they're just going to try and poke away at that, get any damage that they can before the shield battery comes up.
Yeah, no shield battery early means that we're going to get some pretty decent damage as herO. Luckily, though, the micro from MaxPax very on point, so it doesn't actually lose hull damage on really any of those units. And it looks like MaxPax has a probe on the other side of the map as well, so he knows 100% that this is going to be a mega all-in. Obviously, scouting the proxy is going to tell you that, but seeing no Nexus is really going to help solidify that. So here's the elevator that I was talking about. Getting into the main base away from the shield battery makes it much more easy for herO to deal some damage, but luckily MaxPax, well in preparation, puts that second battery in the main as well, so it still gives an anchoring point for this Void Ray.
Yeah, and the Void Ray is kind of the linchpin of the defense here. If you've got Void Rays alive, you always have a chance. If they fall, though, things could get dicey quickly. Two probes going down, not, amazing, but a nice little pick off there, putting the Adept to use. And he's going to try and use this angle on the side of the main base here. There is a probe spot in that, though. Very nice attention to detail from MaxPax. His units come over now, start to engage, even pulling some probes as well, just to tank some of the damage here. He doesn't need to get any further ahead. And, nice pick up there on the one Stalker, but one fall in there.
Yeah, a bit sloppy from herO, to be honest. We expect him to be able to save every single one of these Stalkers with the micro that he is absolutely capable of doing. So gets loses a few units and honestly takes a bit of hull damage unnecessarily. We'll try to go up to the natural ramp now. Doesn't actually get the shield battery. The other one healing it, and he loses a Stalker again in that trade. MaxPax so far with an immaculate hold.
Yeah, this is looking really good. Immortals now joining the fray as well. Going to ferry those up into the main potentially. There's just the one shield battery up here. This could be a good point to focus down and try to break. But every time he comes up into the main, MaxPax is so quick to pull those probes. Just add some more, add a meat shield for his units to be behind while they tank down. Where is that Maul going? Just going to station outside the natural here as he continues to poke.
Yeah, the problem is that the Void Ray count just keeps increasing. I do like the one Immortal getting sectioned off to the left just to try and DPS down this battery. Of course, dealing extra to armored buildings will help versus that. But these Void Rays, once they get in high enough number, you can see they can just burst down units extremely quickly. That Immortal getting shoved down all the way to half health. Of course, this cooldown will take a while to recharge here for MaxPax, so he's going to now be weak in that little downtime. And there's a decent amount of Stalkers at this point, and with the no battery in the wall, it does mean that once these force fields are gone, herO might have an opportunity to get underneath the Void Rays, but the Sentry usage so far is very critical from MaxPax, and it's been very on point.
Yeah, he's targeting down the Cybercut, not going to be able to get it, forced to move back. If he got that, that could be a big pick-off. Another Void Ray in production, and like you say, once they reach a critical mass, they just kind of go crazy and start deleting stuff. But this is so many Stalkers from herO now. Starting to get a bit scary here. Nice pick-up on that Stalker, ferrying those to the back.
Yeah, we'll be able to save a few of those Immortal extremely low, so much better micro overall from herO to keep most of these units alive, but still bleeding out a unit here and there. It does kill the Cybercore, which is nice, so he will know that there's not really going to be much more on the ground, just going to be a couple of Zealots, if anything. And I do like this addition of the Adepts as well now to split up the attention, make it more difficult for MaxPax to defend. Having the Adepts run into the main base, try to kill off some of the probes, while the rest of the army then tries to poke at the front once he has the opportunity to do so. Actually, he's just kind of sitting here now, too. He's just kind of baiting MaxPax into not sending anything else in the main, so that way the Adepts actually still get some pretty good damage. I feel like this is starting to go better for herO just because he's not really losing any units.
Yeah, and he gets another gateway there as well. One more Void Ray on the way, and probes still falling here. 7 falling so far. MaxPax still ahead in the eco, but he's got to keep that lead if he wants to keep outmining herO on the two bases. One more Void Ray now joins the fray, and this is kind of the moment. Okay, he's actually going to block the natural of herO as well. It says he definitely doesn't want him to expand, but I don't think herO has any intention of doing that as he pokes in again. Going to try to pick off the units. One Stalker fall in there at the front. There's Sentry all alone at the front there.
Yeah, that's actually really big, 'cause that adds so much energy, and the force fields are really the only thing keeping MaxPax alive in these engagements because it doesn't allow herO to just run up underneath the Void Rays. You can see every time there's only 1 or 2 force fields getting thrown down on the ramp, so it's blocking everything and just kind of pushing the Stalkers to the side. Finally getting that Stargate is herO, so now there's going to be extremely limited, if any, production from MaxPax, and so this is now an opportunity for herO to really start to swing things as the wall is also open. So you can see he tries to get underneath the Void Ray, but doesn't quite get the first one. Will get it with the second volley, and then backs on up.
Yeah, brilliant pressure here from herO, just picking off whatever he can, rinse and repeating, letting his shields replenish. He doesn't have shield battery, obviously, on the defense. Gonna push in now, gets 1 sentry already. Good force fields by MaxPax, though. Cuts that army in half. Forced to retreat once again is herO. But once those force fields go down, he's going to come straight back in, potentially. And yeah, this is just so many Stalkers now, and the force field numbers are starting to thin out here. And he has no more Stargate, like you said, so you can't make any more Void Rays, which is what you need. Here comes some more Adepts to shade into the main.
Yep, one more Shade going to come on through, going to make it more difficult for MaxPax to respond. He's got to split up his units accordingly. The force fields continue to run dry. Still having 1 extra one, though. That's actually huge. I don't think herO realized that extra sentry was going to have that force field, so tried to go deep, but then gets sectioned off and will have to run back again. MaxPax is doing so good at just throwing out these force fields one at a time, making it so difficult for herO to just go for that big punishing move. Looks like he might finally try to go for it, but still another force field denying the movement. Going for the pylon is the next best play, I think, to trying to depower as many of these batteries as possible. Tries to get onto some of these Void Rays, but is misclicking, I think, a little bit. He hit a couple of sentries instead of the pylon or the Void Ray. That engagement went really badly for herO, I think.
Yeah, and I think he might only have one more shove here. It looks like MaxPax is starting to get so many more units out. He remade the gateway. Force field goes down. herO forced to retreat again and loses another unit. Even got some Adepts in the main. That's what the pylon was for. Here they come, and herO's nothing at home to defend here. He's going to have to warp home, but doesn't even bother. GG, MaxPax takes game number 1 with an excellent defense of his 1-gate expand.
Yeah, that was great for MaxPax. Just the patience to be able to continually warp in sentries, just keep backing up, throwing 1 or 2 force fields down every single time. Sure, you don't get the full block like you normally